This is crazy person stuff right here. This is nuts. I bet everybody with a lick of sense is asleep right now. Yes, I have 0 viewers. This is like revisiting the early Facebook days. I should be asleep. I'm getting like the taxi driver people now. You know, I fully expect Travis Bickle to pop up in the chat. You talking to me? You talking to me? Anyway, I won't do this for too long. If there's not going to be anybody watching, I'm going to go, you know what? I'll go mention this in Discord. Hey, there's actually people out there. Greetings, Vincent, Kabuki. How are you? Aw, shake, 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 da-da-da-da-da. Shake Kabuki. Gang. it's you and me, Kabuki. We're it. We are it. So anyway, what's going on? I'm just tired. Oh, 3 people. 3 people. It says 3 people anyway. So as someone who loves Taxi Driver, Kabuki, what did you think of Joker? Or did you? I thought Joker was fucking brilliant, honestly. Wow, 6 people. That's like 4 more than I thought would end up watching. Vincent dressed as Bilbo Baggins. I need to get my reading glasses. Hang on a second, guys. I can't see a thing. Hold on. What do I do with them? Lord Corion, hey! Hey, I haven't seen you in forever, man. How are you? What's going on? Yeah, Joker is not effing around. Joker is a decidedly unhappy movie. Like, whew. I used to think that, like, as movies of a certain kind went, Fight Club was like the least happy movie. And I saw Joker, right? And don't come at me with, oh, what about Come and See? What about Schindler's List? What about... You understand going in that those movies are going to be unhappy. I mean movies that just like wallop you with the crazy. I'm just I'm okay, Lord Corion. Lord Corion, for the other 4 of you who might not know, actually Grave of the Fireflies. I have some not happy things to say about Grave of the Fireflies, but Vincent and Lord Corion were like, when I would be elated when I would look up and see that I had 6 people watching a live stream. 2 of those people were usually Vincent and Lord Corion. They were here all the time. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, knowing what I know now about I've just blanked on the man's name. I can picture him in my head. Oh, geez, originals. The ones that critics of my current show's format and interstitial output tell me have left. Hayao Miyazaki, that's who it was. Yeah, that's right. And I'd love to have him back. I would absolutely welcome you back with open arms, Corian. But yeah, Miyazaki is an imperial Japanese chauvinist, like a hard capital N nationalist, and is of that generation of Japanese that thinks that the Japanese were just sitting around minding their own business in 1945 when the US just dropped 2 atom bombs on them. So I have a lot less sympathy for watching Grave of the Fireflies. Like, no, well, I'll say you're the Holmes basic of the show, Vincent. You're the Holmes basic. My wife's cat she's wondering what I'm doing up talking. Why are you talking to the things? Why are you talking to the things? But anyway, yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I get as film goes, as dramatic moments go, but there's certain things that can color your opinions, you know? But anyway, I was gonna do this real quick. Let me see. Also, I should point out Lord Corian and Vincent are 2 of the earliest, I'm going to put this up, couple of the earliest patrons of the show. When I set up a Patreon, they were like, bam, bam, like the first couple of followers. Like when I go in and I look at patrons and I'm out donated, I'm like, holy crap, that's, for me, it's not an insignificant amount. So you guys are OG. But Kabuki had a fun night. Won a Jeopardy game that your friend made. Very cool. Excellent. Yeah, I got no particular impetus for streaming right now. I just felt like, I should do it. I didn't tonight. I'll throw out a Samhain for those nights when you want to listen to something that sounded like it was recorded in a room about like this, with guitar, singer, everybody going into like a single amp. Samhain. I'm told it's Samhain. And then somebody came at me and said, "Oh, it's Samhain." So they're tripping me up, and they're saying it's like 3. There's like 3 choices: Samhain, Samhain, or Samhain. So I don't know. But anyway, hopefully Doomsword will hop on. I see him over on the Discord. Yeah, I'm just hanging out right now. Oppenheimer was great, but emotionally heavy. Yeah, going back to A-bomb stuff. Yeah, Coriana can always use some for the beer fund. Samhain. Okay, you always heard Samhain. It just doesn't, like, seeing the album cover was my first. Actually, no. It was I think it was in one of the Halloween movies, like Halloween or Halloween 2. and they're looking at it as, and they say Samhain. But correct me if I'm wrong. What's up, Doom Sword? No, Oppenheimer, like, I respect Oppenheimer's opinion a lot, but like the one and only time he ever met Harry Truman, like, you know, Truman was pretty much, and this is my opinion too. This is absolutely my opinion. That the use of those devices when they were used was entirely appropriate for reasons that I've stated many times. I'm not saying it was a good thing to do, but the circumstances that led to it were far worse. They were far worse. And it probably saved something on the order of 8 to 10 million lives to do that. And so there's this kind of infamous scene when Oppenheimer went in to talk to Truman, and he was all shell shocked in front of the president, and he said, you know, well, I have all this blood on my hands, and made the famous Bhagavad Gita quote to Truman, and Truman said, well, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. The blood will be on our hands. The blood's on my hands. Don't worry about it. And told his advisors, I never want to see that guy again. I never want to see that nebbish little weirdo in my office again. I can't stand him. So he didn't. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, you know, gave us that technology. And then all of his associates gave it to the Russians. So, you know. Anyway, oh, we're up to 9. We're 12. 12 of you lunatics are out there watching me right now at this hour. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about fun stuff. So what else is going on? So I hate to just like smoothly shift gears, because like we're kicking back right now, right? But I do want to mention the module was released, and it's not great. It's like a demo tape version of the module that I wanted to release, but October just kept getting backed up. So next week, I'm going into full overdrive to put out a good quality 1E module. Okay, so if you're a backer over on Patreon, or you're a backer at the $10 level on Patreon, or the $10 level on YouTube subscriptions, I apologize for the module you guys got for October, because it's not great. You'll get a better one for November. I'll get you a better one for November. Good horror movies. Okay. Is it just me? I want people's opinions out there. 15 people watching. What's wrong with you people? Is it just me? And I'm not talking in retrospect. I mean, when you look at it for the time, Halloween is not that gory of a movie. Everybody says it kicked off the slasher genre. It didn't. Halloween is a little bit gorier than Psycho. Halloween is a little bit gorier than Psycho. But it's phenomenal. I mean, it's such a great movie, and so many great stories about the production. So the movie is ostensibly set in Indiana, Haddonfield, or was it New Jersey? I don't remember. But they filmed it in Los Angeles. In fact, there's long enough shots up streets where you can see people have got those incredibly tall, slender palm trees. It's not in the Midwest. So they had to make it look like fall where it was. So they had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bags of leaves brought in. And they would scatter them everywhere and then collect them up off of people's yards, out of their gutters and everything, to reuse over and over for shots. And apparently a bunch of the crew got ill from having, because they're handling moldy leaves. Just to keep them from blowing away, they'd wet people's yards down, and it added to the effect. Hey, Danny, happy Halloween. Had a good one. And then here's a fun one. So The Shape, Michael Myers, The Shape, as they call him. There were a bunch of different people who got to play The Shape for different shots. And a buddy of mine, a family friend of theirs, got to play The Shape for just a brief scene. When Laurie looks in the backyard and Michael is standing behind the laundry, like, she looks away, we see him behind the laundry, she looks back, the wind blows, and he's gone. That particular scene was their family friend. They had a picture of the guy, like, not in costume or anything, but he got to do that. Oh, that's cool, CJ. That's very cool. Hey, Michael Mertig. So that's that's just a little bit of trivia. Let me ask you something, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 7 Doom Sword. Okay, so I think there's like 8 of you folks who haven't said anything. Is there anyone here who came from Twitter? Is there anyone who came from Twitter? Just curious. Oh, there's less people now. We peaked at 17. Now we're down to 13. I know it's just like like you guys could be listening to and enjoying me, and depending on how your browser acts, if you go to another tab, YouTube could be like, oh, well, they're not there anymore. No, I'm not pitching Twitter. I've said this before, though. Twitter works for me as a platform to talk about classic tabletop role-playing games, because it is literally all I will listen. You won't find a single opinion on any matter on Twitter. Sometimes I vent my spleen a little bit there about how I'm feeling in kind of a live journal sort of way. Like if I'm having a crap day, I might say, the day sucks, you know? But I see people posting things like, even people whose opinions about Dungeons and Dragons I value and enjoy and appreciate, and they'll pop off about something current, and I am not interested in this post. So it is literally just another place to talk about TTRPGs for me. And because I make it behave and make it only show me that stuff, it works fine. But it takes effort. If I just sat there and just like clicked on everything that kind of made an itch and I felt compelled to scratch it, its algorithm would pick, oh, you do want to see about. And then I'd have to deal with that deluge. But if you did come from there, welcome. Scaring them away with questions. Anyway. Speaking of social media and horror movies and so on, I actually used to be fairly social media close with a really nice lady on Facebook, and then she completely disappeared. Well, she stopped interacting with me, but like I'm not blocked on any of her accounts or anything. And I mean, she was a fairly random stranger. As a joke for my birthday one day, I posted on Facebook, and this is not a long time ago. This is not like 8 years ago, or this was like 2 or 3 years ago. There's this thing you can do on Facebook. It's where you can say, today for my birthday, go donate money. Like, I want you to donate. And it's a very formal thing, and they all had the same kind of wording to them. It was you do it, and then it would go up on your Facebook page. And so I jokingly posted, today for my birthday, I'm asking you to support me. I got to get that grip. Or something. And she just out of the blue sent me a message and said, happy birthday, and sent me, like, I'm not kidding, sent me $69.69. Because that's just, you know, her being ribald. And so I bought a pretty Boss computer case with it, and I was very happy, and I was very thankful, and I sent her like 3D printed Giga, and I was 3D printing filament, and poof, she just disappeared one day, just like stopped communicating with me. And it was so unusual. I miss that. But that's not the point. The point is, she taught film at a university in California. And I want to see, it was USC or maybe UCLA. And she and a bunch of her students were watching, I think it was Vampires or some Carpenter movie. And she looked back, and Carpenter was like in the classroom where this was going on. He wasn't like a speaker or anything. He wasn't coming to speak on the movie or anything. I don't know if she if she told me what his purpose there was. But she turned around and realized it was John Carpenter, and like she looks over her shoulder and said, and just kind of does a double take, and she said, "Ghosts of Mars sucked." And he just kind of bemused it, was like, "Oh, really? What didn't you like about it?" And like they just had a really good talk about filmmaking. Vampires is pretty much a... Vampires seems so... The way it's put together is weird. Now, let me tell you, in an alternate future, John Stakely is still with us, and he became a household name after that movie became huge and launched a whole franchise. If you've never read any John Stakely, he wrote very, very good pulp sci-fi. And he kind of had a character that spanned several of his novels, sort of his gunslinger or champion eternal, Jack Crow, which, of course, James Wood played in Vampires. But the movie Vampires feels so much like, okay, my fellow gamers, you'll feel this. I know you'll feel this. Vampires feels like a game you got invited to, where a dude was running like a game system you'd never played before, a published one like GURPS. If you haven't played Hero System, maybe Hero System, and you jumped into his game world and you played like a one shot, and you felt like, yeah, I'd like to come back to this guy's house and everything. But this was in the 90s, and yet you haven't talked to that group of people ever again. It just kind of came and went. And it was really good, and you remember it, but like, it's not really something you'd want to run yourself, and it's not really something you think you could put together that well. That's what Vampires feels like to me. Like I not too long ago was talking to my wife about it and said, hey, remember Vampire? I explained details of the movie. I reminded her of what movie theater we went to when we saw it, and she just kind of blinked and did a double take. She said, I don't remember that at all. So in her head, that's like a 5 out of 10 movie. But my introduction to Stakely was actually his book Armor, which is a much more brutal and ugly Starship Troopers, the novel. If you've never read Starship Troopers, just ignore that. Just here, play with this ball and cup on this cup and ball on a string. If your only understanding of Starship Troopers is that movie. I can't think of anything by Carpenter that I have ever watched that I wouldn't at the very least say, that's kind of interesting. Hey, I'll tell you straight up, one of my favorite romance movies of all time is Starman. Starman is achingly beautiful. It is achingly beautiful. You unfriend people when you think it's like the movie. Starman's got a good soundtrack. But good. I mean, Carpenter movies I've seen. Let's just do that. The Thing, The Fog, Halloween, of course, you know, Starman, vampires we were just talking about. Thoughts on Harold Lloyd? I've got to be in a particular. I'm not gonna lie. I've got to be in a particular mood. So when I was a kid, rainy days, which were frequent in the spring when I was growing up, was in school watching films instead of going out to play on the playground if it was particularly wet. In the Mouth of Madness, yep. Oh, Prince of Darkness, yes, love Prince of Darkness. Escape from New York. I mean, that's such a classic movie. I'm not crazy about Escape from LA. That's an interesting movie. But anyway, local, we would watch. Now, this was in the 1970s, so you got to understand, silent films from the 1920s were only 50 years old at that point. Kids watching 50-year-old movies today are watching, like, movies from the 70s. Doesn't that give you pause? Oof. You guys have skedaddled all the way. I won't keep you too much longer, I promise. But when it's, it was something to do other than having your face in a book, reading, writing, arithmetic. So I didn't mind it. Big Trouble in Little China. How could your boyfriend hate Big Trouble in Little China? Kabuki, come here. Come here. Come sit right here. Take a knee. That's awful. But anyway, back to the issue of silent films. And yes, Big Trouble in Little China is an amazing movie. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. It is one of the best movies. But when I was a kid, like, I could watch them, but once I get into like the later 70s and then the 80s, I couldn't watch silent films. I as a curio, I can, but I can't sit down and watch a Harold Lloyd movie. I'm sorry. Now, when it comes to movies, okay, there are a few genre films that do this thing where you watch and you're like, that's a sequel to this other movie, and they're very few and far between. Big Trouble in Little China is a sequel to Buckaroo Banzai, and Outland is a sequel to Alien, and also Blade Runner. They Live, of course. And what charms the hell out of me? What charms the hell out of me about that fight sequence is John Carpenter loves the movie The Quiet Man as much as I do. He loves John Ford films, which brings us to another great Carpenter film, Assault on Precinct 13. Oh my God, Assault on Precinct 13. What a movie. But yeah, Carpenter was a big fan of The Quiet Man. And so the fist fight between Roddy Piper and I forget the actor's name. I can picture him in my head. It's doing it again. But he Keith David and Roddy Piper. That was based on the fist fight between Victor McLaughlin and John Wayne in The Quiet Man. Yeah, Assault on Precinct 13. Gotta love it. Absolutely adore that movie. I think we've gone through like the entire Carpenter oeuvre there. I don't think we have not mentioned a John Carpenter movie. You know what's an odd movie, since we're talking about sci-fi and horror and stuff like that, and of course it's Halloween. An oddly unsettling movie is and I can almost guarantee you guys haven't seen it because it doesn't really have a quote-unquote horror ending. It's got kind of a Twilight Zone-y ending. It doesn't really have a horror movie vibe, but Idaho Transfer. It stars Peter Fonda and a relative cast of unknowns, and Idaho Transfer is about... is Dark Star an O'Bannon movie, or is it a Carpenter movie, though? But they run... Basically, they have a teleportation laboratory. And what they find out is, first of all, the near future is completely screwed up. So we have, we've got like a few decades to stop this crisis, and it is implied strongly that that it is a massive fuel crisis, and we have to come up with a way to do it. The time displacement is fatal to adults over a certain age, and for adults under that age, it starts like organ breakdown in them. Like they can survive going and coming back, but it is slowly fatal to them versus instantly fatal to them. And this group of volunteers gradually gets whittled down. And finally, this one more girl volunteer goes. And she's in a lot of pain. She's doubling over. She obviously, can't stand it. I'm about to spoil it, Kabuki. I'm about to spoil it, so, apologies. I think I hear a freight train running through like the far end of my little town here. I hope that's what it is, because if it's not, it's a tornado. Keith Carradine is in it. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, she's in obviously serious distress, and she staggers out in the middle of the road and falls down, and this futuristic family car pulls up. And the dad comes around, and he kind of looks her over and picks her up and lays her down. There's like this hatchback kind of deal. Lays her down in the car. And he starts the car back up, and as he starts to drive off, you can hear this muffled scream of horror and pain from inside. And there's a little boy in the back of the car, and he kind of looks over his shoulder, and he goes back, and he's playing with little action figure or something. And he I don't remember the exact the dialogue, because like the father and the child, or the father and the mother interact with each other, and they basically imply that time travelers show up, or random people, not even time travelers, just random people. They show up and they get put inside the car's engine and turned into fuel in a incredibly painful manner. And the son says something to the effect, well, what are we going to do when they stop coming, Dad? And they, it's just kind of left as a hanging question, never really answered. The implication is that the people who travel from the past are the solution to the people of the future. That, oh yeah, sure. Hey, come here. Hey, did you lie down in the trunk of my car here? Soylent Fuel is people, absolutely. I think they were kind of going for that sort of vibe. There's a very, very amusing Family Guy skit from when Family Guy was very amusing, where Peter and it may have just been Peter watching it by himself, but he turns on the TV and he goes, and the announcer says, "We will now return you to depressing 1970s science fiction theater." And all like crammed into a single gag is like every 70s, depressing 70s science fiction trope. Logan's Run, Soylent Green, Idaho Transfer, all that stuff. We had some depressing science fiction in the 1970s. We had some really depressing. Phase 4. How about that one? What else did we have? We had Silent Running, Logan's Run, Idaho Transfer. Basically, if it involved moving or numbers, you were hosed. What else? I would append the original Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes, because those are pretty bleak when you get right down to it. Soylent Green got mentioned. Rollerball. You think they just let him slide at the end of Rollerball after he won the national championship? Ultimate Warrior, Clementi Clyde. That's right, Ultimate Warrior with Yul Brynner. That kinda ish, sort of ish had. They got to where the environment wasn't completely effed by the exchange. Rod Serling script, absolutely. Kabuki, THX 1138. THX 1138, absolutely. Yeah, Silent Running, George, we mentioned that one. Westworld, that's another one. Oh my God. Andromeda Strain. Chilling. When they're talking about how Scoop brought back one deadly virus, like one, and then the senator is asking, they said, well, what do we do then? And his response is, exactly. What are we going to do? not a lot of uplifting science fiction in this. Lucas kind of snapped us out of that with Star Wars. Lucas was just like, fuck it, Dam Busters, Hidden Fortress, Zorro, Hopalong Cassidy, Force 10 from Navarone. Just throw them all in there and make a movie. And we'll wrap it up in a science fiction wrapper. But he made THX 1138. He did his depressing science fiction. Oh, Omega Man. How could I forget Omega Man? Although Omega Man, I mean, I like Omega Man a lot. I do. But Last Man on Earth really comes the closest to Matheson's work. Matheson hated all three film versions, but he said, I disliked Last Man on Earth the least. This is the third one, came out just before he passed away. I Am Legend. I guess you could include China Syndrome. I guess you could include China Syndrome in that. But I tell you what, I gotta find the title of this real quick. Let me see. Gotta find the title of this. Hold on a second. And that actor's name. Okay, so you guys probably haven't seen this, but if you can find a copy, go get it. A Boy and His Dog, which Ellison hated. Ellison absolutely despised A Boy and His Dog. He thought the ending was horrific and misogynistic and just all around bad. Hey, Alien was really kind of a combination of it, The Terror from Beyond Space, and Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires. Anyway, Red Alert is it predates China Syndrome by a little bit. It's not really the same, but as it could have turned into a bleak 70s science fiction movie. The Mutant Bear Prophecy movie, yeah. How about that stinker Orca? Who saw Orca? Hey, Elle. Hey, everybody give Elle a big live react welcome to the show. Elle loves the live react bar. It's his favorite part of the show now. At least that's my understanding. I want to say I saw Orca in the theater. The Deep, really, really, really good movie. The Deep. Lizzo and Seth Rogen's TMNT. Elle has seen all the horror movie then. Frankenstein never scared me. Who's that comedian who did the great Christopher Walken impression? Trick or Treat? It's a good question. My question for you, little kids, is which one of you can guess what I have buried underneath my house? What? Wait, where are you going? Yeah, just click that a few times. Just click that a few times, Kabuki. It's one icon. It is literally on my 27-inch monitor, running at 1080p. It is a 1 centimeter square, taking up the real estate on my screen. It is less than a quarter the size of my pinky nail on my phone. Night of the Lepus. The Incredible Melting Man. I was actually scared of that was on HBO. My aunt, both of my aunts moved back in with my grandmother and grandfather, my paternal grandmother and grandfather for a little while, and they paid in, so they got home box office. And I remember The Incredible Melting Man was on one evening when we were over there, and I watched like 5 minutes of it, and I couldn't frigging sleep that night. I was horrified. I have seen scenes of that movie, and that is so ridiculous. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's a classic. And speaking of HBO, when we finally got HBO, when we moved to Florida, I remember one of the first movies we ever saw was the comedy remake of The Incredible Shrinking Man, The Incredible Shrinking Woman. Oh, so bleak 70s science fiction, Cablevision. Yeah, when we moved to when we moved to Orlando, Cablevision. Tourist Trap. Yeah. I don't remember on TV. Let's see. I've shared this with you guys before, but let me see if I can find this. I've used this as the plot of a what happened there? Oh, I know what happened. Let me see. As the plot of a Gamma World campaign or two, but see if I can share this. Yeah, this right here. Hopefully that'll open up for you guys. That is some childhood trauma, Operation X-70. That came out in 71. I saw it probably in 73. It got shown on TV at some point, and my dad had that on. We were living in Atlanta. We hadn't even moved to Orlando. Kevin Pollak, thank you. Yes, I love Kevin Pollak talking about the different. He's like, there's Boston Legal, Shatner, Danny Crane, and then of course there's over the top Star Trek Shatner, Spock. She's got a ray gun. I can't do it justice. Check out Kevin Pollak's impressions of that. Thank you for hanging out, Gumby. Appreciate you. It was all Ben's fault. trying to think. Where's some other childhood science fiction traumas? And yeah, pretty much does it. I have mostly cleaned out the attic of sci-fi movies from when I was a child, and I've caught up with them. A number of it's probably been more than 10 or 12 years ago, but I snagged a very nice clean copy of Message from Space. I made myself a DVD. I've got it in a snap case, everything, the works. Burned it to DVD, Message from Space, aka Japanese Star Wars, that has an all-Occidental cast. No, it doesn't have an all-Occidental. It's got some American actors. So Vic Morrow, notably, is in it. I think, let me see. No. So 78. Vic Morrow, Sonny Chiba, Philip Kasnoff, and Peggy Lee Brennan. Its budget was... I wanted to see that in the theaters when I was a kid. Doesn't say. But yeah, just for the longest time, particularly, and it started like tickling the back of my head in the 90s, which sucked because in the 90s, we had, particularly in the early 90s, the internet in the early 1990s was Usenet and email. And if you wanted to move stuff around, FTP. Maybe somebody out on Usenet, like you could throw a message onto Usenet and be like, does anybody remember this weird cartoon from the 70s where people wore gas masks all the time? And somebody might come back with an answer. Or your message might be still sitting on the Google Usenet archive, unresponded to this day, right? So you could find out like that. Well, FidoNet was its own thing. FidoNet wasn't the internet. So you could find out like that, or you could just never, like. So in the 90s, you know, I tell. Did you ever see a movie back in the 70s that was a cartoon? At least I think it was, and there were people with gas masks, and there was a computer called Tarzan, and it's like a nuclear weapon was accidentally dropped on a city, and you know, people just looking at me like, the fuck are you talking about, you know? And I remember, I fell in love with the soundtrack to Iron Man Tetsuo, as screwed up as the movie is. But there was no, I'm just going to track a copy of that down. Even in like 91, 92. But all of these movies just started plaguing me, and I remembered them like suddenly from the 70s, which there's only like a 20-year separation in the 90s between the 90s and the 70s. Trying to remember all of this Kinder trauma. There's actually a website called Kinder Trauma, where people do exactly what I'm doing now. And I had asked them about Operation X70, and nobody there was able to help me. And then I found it one day. But yeah, it just kind of itched at me. They're just movies just kind of itched at me, and I've mostly tracked them down. Like I can't think of anything that I haven't seen that I cannot find a copy of. I tell you who did do some good science fiction and horror movies was ABC, the ABC movie of the week, The Intruder Within, This House Possessed, Invitation to Hell, just to name a few. Oh, I'll tell you another one, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is based on a true story. What time is it? It is 1:46 a.m. I've actually never seen The Crazies. Oh, I was going to mention that. So, Carpenter gave us Starman, which is a very sweet, some people say it's saccharine film. But George Romero released just out of nowhere, he tried to make her like a romantic drama called There's Always Vanilla. He hated it. Like he would refer to it as that damn ice cream movie. But I guess the last one I caught up with on tracking down stuff was probably was it The Devil's Triangle? Basically, it's a movie about the Bermuda Triangle, which was hot in the 70s. Like, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, In Search Of was pretty much your scientific you can go to the CDC website now. You can go to you can go to all these different scientific sources now. Back in the 70s, we had In Search Of. Did ancient astronauts land on the Earth? Are the Nazca lines like meant to be seen from space? So Aztec visitors from other worlds can find a place to land? Yes, unquestionably. Is Bigfoot real? Don't even ask a stupid question like that. You know Bigfoot's real. Are there otherworldly forces at work in the Bermuda Triangle? Of course there are. Leonard Nimoy just told us there were. You gonna doubt Mr. Spock? So, Nimoy it said in later years, he's like, that show promulgated a lot of bad science. But hey, a paycheck's a paycheck, right? Spock! But, so Bermuda Triangle was hot. Satanism was hot. You had The Omen, Beyond the Door. What else? Not Beyond the Green Door. That's different. You had Beyond the Door, The Omen, The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby. Basically, all the satanic movies were in the 70s, too. Very bleak time, kids. And so, he was the most human. Yeah, Polanski. Ugh. But anyway, so again, ABC made for TV movie, Satan's Triangle. That was it. Which itself sounds like a porno title. A corno title. Corn. Crap, somebody's going to have to super chat me now. I just got demonetized. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this description to you guys. You can almost certainly find this on check it. Well, I didn't throw you out. My wife's cat walking around complaining. Oh, I don't know that one, George. George Eggrog. George. Yes, you can find this on YouTube, guys, if you want to see it. Copy clean link. You guys can go check that out. But anyway. So here's the skinny, the lowdown. This is the plot of Satan's Triangle. It's Halloween, so spookiness. It's still an hour of Halloween left if you're out on the West Coast. So, U.S. Coast Guard pilot Commander Paganini and his winchman Haig answered an SOS call at sea and arrived at a derelict schooner, the Requite. Haig lowers himself to the ship where he finds 3 dead bodies along with one survivor, Ava, cowering in the cabin. It's Kim Novak who played Ava, by the way. As a pilot attempts to retrieve Haig and Ava with a rescue basket, the line breaks, plunging the two into the ocean. After they swim back to the boat, the pilot informs Haig he must return to base because his fuel is borderline. Ava and Haig spend the night on the boat, during which time she recounts the story of the storm that killed everyone else aboard. She explains to him that the strange events began after they found a priest drifting in the ocean, apparently a survivor of a disaster. She then tells Haig of the violent storm that caused all of the freakish deaths on the boat. One man was hurled through a hatch, one is hanging from the ship's mast, another vanished before her eyes, and a fourth man is in an aft compartment floating in the air. Ava attributes the death to supernatural causes, but Haig has a practical explanation for everything, including the man who appears to be floating in the air and is actually impaled on a swordfish's snout. Ava's comforted and has sex with Haig. Early the next morning, the pilot returns along with the Coast Guard cutter Venturous. Haig and Ava are transferred from the Requite to the deck of the Venturous, where they board the helicopter for the flight back to Miami. At the same time, Coast Guard personnel from the Venturous investigate the wrecked schooner. The story takes a bizarre turn when the Venturous captain calls Haig to tell him that they found on the ship was not what Haig reported. The individual hanging from the mast was, in fact, a woman. Ava grins evilly and turns into the priest, claims Haig, and pushes him out of the helicopter to his death. The priest then turns to Paganini and instructs him to beg for salvation, but the pilot rejects the devil. The priest kills him without touching him, and the helicopter crashes into the sea. The priest survives and floats away as we then see Haig come back to life. He waves at a distant ship as it approaches to rescue him, but he has an evil grin on his face. So there you go. And that stars Kim Novak, Doug McClure. Hi, I'm Doug McClure. You might remember me from such films as Satan's Triangle, Alejandro Rey, Ed Lauder, Jim Davis, I guess drawing Garfield hadn't kicked into high speed yet. Michael Conrad, Zito Lazan, Peter Bourne, Hank Stoll, Tom Deaver, Trent Dolan. And this is just one of those weird ass things that came up. But like the Coast Guard cutter that was in that movie is actually like still in service, which is wild. Like the Navy will throw away ship after a decade, just like, nope, that's done. Get rid of that thing. But then they ride them hard and put them up wet. Praxis Taliogaro, good evening to you. Good morning to you. Yeah, I've heard they're making a new Toxic Avenger. But I'm going to wrap up here in a half an hour unless anyone's got any pressing stuff they want to ask me. Sergeant Kabukiman, NYPD. Kim Novak, is she still with us? Yes, but she is retired. What a looker. Mm-mm-mm. So this movie, Satan's Triangle, came out in 75. I remember Kim Novak being quite pretty. 33, so she 42. Yes, I did, Elle. You didn't see it? It was on Thursday. Like 2 hours we talked about experience points and their awarding, and that comes up. It absolutely does. And I credited you and everything. Zito Kazan. I think I told you guys. No, I know I told you guys. I don't think that I told you guys. I absolutely know I told you guys. I now own a copy of Pop Lollies and Bella Bones. So I got all the D&D names. I've been using this. I had all the names. Aim Crier Blanc. Tell me that's not a D&D fighter's name. Aim Crier Blanc. Boost Chinkers. That's Krug Blooder. Fairhead Hingling. A humble or base person who is very beautiful. Is Boost a thief? I don't know. No, I use that for other names. I use that for modernish and science fiction games. Sleeve McDickle. Is Boost a thief? Let's see. Boost. Boos, Boos, a cow stall. Boos. Athel Karkt. Athel Karkt. Athel is nobleman. Karkt is fretfully anxious. The bonus numbers for an elf thief. Well, here, TJ. Allow me to assist you, my brother. My brother in Gygax. You have come into this church late at night. Can I get an amen from the congregation as we read to you the good book? Now, I should point out that the data for stats over 18 is actually in expurgated copies of Deities and Demigods and Legends and Lore, so you don't have to track down a copy with Cthulhu and Elric and so on. But that's the copy I've got. So dexterity of 19. Your reaction attacking adjustment is +3. Your defensive adjustment is -4. Pickpockets is +15%. Open locks is +20%. Locate and remove traps is +10%. I guess they changed it from find and remove traps. Fart. Move silently is +12%. Hide in shadows is +12%. There you go. I got some news for you, Wave. I get pretty weird before midnight. You know what? I'm gonna be the dissenting voice. I never cared for. I never ever really cared for the Child's Play movies. Sorry, I didn't. Amen, TJ. What's your question, Praxis? Search hard and remove. Hey, there you go. Ask that question, Praxis. I'm waiting on Praxis to ask his question. Or her question. I don't know. As the old Lizard Man logo. Is the old Lizard Man logo what? Brad Dourif. No. No. The old Lizard Man logo, I'm not sure which came first, the logo or the miniature, but there were these 54 millimeter metal Lizard Man miniatures the TSR gave out to vendors. They're rare as hen's teeth, but for a while you could actually get pretty good facsimiles from some, I can't even remember them now, who they were. It was Bill Barsh was running a company that made and sold Lizard Man logo style Lizard Man miniatures. And I have one, and I'll paint it up someday. Oh, basket case, good Lord. Oh, the gate. There you go. You're quite welcome, Praxis. Let me see. I actually want to find this now. look at my Gmail account. I don't even know if they're still doing things. No, it's not that. No. Oh, pace. Okay, so let me see if I can still find. See if there's out there. Pace Setter Games. They're still out there. So Pace Setter Games and Simulations Shop. I don't think. If I click, oh, sorry. No. Try one more time. Consider games. Is that still working? Yeah, no, they don't anymore. I got a Gorgamera and a like two packs of Lizard Men's from them, so they don't sell them anymore. They bought the name, Derek, but not. No, that's not. I think for a while they were selling some stuff, but it's not. It's not that Pace Setter Games. It's kind of like the company that flogs stuff under the Atari name, or the infinite number of companies that sell stuff with a Commodore logo on it. This is not them. This is not the Time Master game. Oh, Tasha Kinski and Cat People, yeah. Full Moon Productions, Jack Death. Let me see. Well, guys, I am just about out of steam. I missed it. Dooms threw me in a $2 super. Thank you, Dooms. It came and went that fast. But thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Oh, go away. There we go. I'm not gonna run the. I'm not gonna run the end credits, guys. I'm just out of steam. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope everyone had a good Halloween. Sorry, it's just all of a sudden it's just catching up with me, guys. So happy Halloween, which still applies if you're out on the West Coast. You guys have a wonderful evening, and hell, I don't even know if I'll leave this stream up, but peace to you all. See you around.